welcome to today's Forgotten Coast Real Estate Show edition. I'm very excited to bring to you today my good friend, loan originator, and overall lending rock star, Miss Lindsey Maxwell. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be I'm excited for today. I think that as we are seeing so many changes in the real estate market and the lending and the interest rates and things like that, I felt like this is the perfect time that we should probably get together and chat and just kind of go over the ins and outs of all things amazing. But as always, I like to start the show with just, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, your background, anything that you'd like to share today?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, my name is Lindsey Maxwell, and I grew up in Texas, so that's where I'm originally from. But I'm a transplant here to the Forgotten Coast. I went to school in Texas for marine biology. I had no idea that I was ever going to be in finance. I thought that I was going to be a marine biologist and play with the dolphins all day. And I still love to do that, but I had a career path change. I moved to Florida to pursue my degree, and then unfortunately, I went through a divorce. And I was a single mom, and so when you work as a marine biologist, you work on grants, and so it's not really job stability. You're kind of waiting on a grant to be approved, and there are times you're kind of like, oh, what do I do? And so I was picking up odd jobs, waiting tables and bartending. And then somebody came to me and was like, hey, you went to college, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, what'd you go for? Like science. They're like, okay, you want to try your hand at mortgage lending? I'm like, sure. They're like, it'll be all right. Had no idea what I was doing. But here we are, 7 years later, and I love doing what I do, and I'm so fortunate and so blessed. And I've worked, I've worked with you down in Gulf County, Franklin County, Bay County, all over the Panhandle, and it affords me a very nice opportunity to be able to talk to people from all over and to get to know our area more just by, looking at different homes that they're purchasing, looking at appraisals, looking at the market. So it's a really fun business and I enjoy doing it.
Well, it's such a great story of the fact that, you're here, so at least you have a love for the water. So now you live near the water, so you can always get to the beach and you can go watch the dolphins if you really want to.
Exactly.
But yeah, so you have a son, correct?
I do. My son's name is Chase, and he is 12 years old. He's in 6th grade, and he goes to school here in Panama City. That's where we live. And yeah, he's just an all around water kid too. He enjoys all the things: the boat, going to the beach, crabbing, fishing. So it definitely was meant to be that we ended up here.
Yeah, and I also love the part of your story that she talks about, like somebody saw something in you and was like, hey, like, I think you should try your hand at this, because it's so true. Like you don't know the conversations that you have with people and how life-changing those can be. And, this may not have been the direction that you thought you were going, but thank goodness we don't always, that God doesn't allow us to make our own path. He's like, let me intercede and help you out here real quick so that you can be the mom that you need to be and have the stability that you need. So I love that so much.
100%. I always say that, everything happens for a reason. And I know a lot of people say that, but, there's this divine plan, and we have our destiny. And a lot of times we think we know what we're doing. And then turns out, there's always a different plan for us, or maybe not. But for me, there was. And definitely it was a life-changing event, things that shape your life. And so I definitely owe a lot to that experience. And just, one of the things that I learned whenever I was coming up and with my parents is, dress the part that you want to be. Go out, even when you wake up in the morning. When I would take my son to school, we were driving 20 miles each way, and I had to be up super early, but I would still get up, put on real clothes, walk him in kindergarten, walk him to the front, and because you never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
And so things like that is just like I always knew in my mind that I wanted to present myself in a certain way. And like you said, I guess, somebody saw something somewhere along the line, and it was a very awesome career change for me. And like I said, I love what I do. I love being here in Florida. I love where I live. It's amazing. I'm grateful. I'm blessed.
Yep. So I think we talked about this, but if you were to like handpick the day I'm off work, where is your go-to? What is your go-to experience for, especially around the Panama City area? Around our parts in Gulf County, which if you're watching this and you don't know, Bay County and Gulf County, we're neighbors. So we kind of intertwine with Franklin. All three of us, we all kind of do it. But my Gulf County interviewees are always like, I'm going to the beach and I'm taking a drink and I'm watching the sunset and I might go fishing or kayaking. But, I don't know, is that kind of the same thing for you, or what does that look like for you?
Oh yeah, very similar. I live in a golf cart community. So one of my favorite things is to load my dogs up and take them around on the golf cart. And so definitely a sunset cruise on the golf cart.
Yeah.
I have the beach and the pool right down the road from me. So it'd be either one of those, beach and the pool with a drink in my hand. And then yeah, just hanging out with my family. I think that where we live, we're so lucky that we have so many different opportunities to pursue the outdoors. And so for me, anything out in the sun outdoors is my ideal day off.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I'll have to admit, like, I think I asked the question thinking I'm going to get something completely different or off the rails, but no, that's pretty much, it's pretty much the go-to here. So
Well, that's why we connected, because like the people who are like, I would sit in my house and watch movies all day, which that's also nice every now and then, but like, it's not my go-to, like not my go-to.
Exactly. Well, let's dive a little deep into lending in itself. So, I mean, I think I shared with you that when I have clients that come to me about, hey, I want to, look at some homes, that my first thing is let's go get you pre-qualified. And so can you dive into what does that mean and what does a client need to do to get pre-qualified for a loan?
Sure. So being pre-qualified, first and foremost, it's going to give the client a baseline of where they should be what price range they should be shopping in. And a lot of times people think they know what price range, but the conversation I like to have with them, and it's why it's so important to connect with a mortgage consultant, is because just because you can afford $1 million house, do you really want that house payment? And so, and they have all these calculators online, but it's always better to have the real numbers in your hand, because what you don't want to do is get pre-qualified or know what price range you think you want to be in, and then you get the actual numbers and you're like, I don't think I want to do that. And
Right.
so that's always step one, to see not only where you fall out for your sales price, but are you comfortable with that monthly payment?
Right. Which is why I always tell my clients, let's get you pre-qualified, because the last thing I want to do is show you a $800,000 home that you fell in love with, and then you find out that that's really a little more than what you really want. So now we got to take it back, and now we got to start over. But you've already fallen in love with this $800,000 home or something. And so I'm always like, let's really just start here. So what do you see for interest rates? I mean, I think we all know the interest rates have gone up a little bit. Are you seeing, I don't know, just in your professional opinion, what are you looking at, or how is this impacting you and your clients?
That's a really good question. And it's actually, it goes back to the whole monthly payment. So interest rates have gone up. The last quarter of 2021, we were at an average of like 3.8. Now we're looking at 4.5. They've gone up quite a bit. And relatively speaking, they're still not high. Interest rates are still great. Comparing historically, back in the 80s,
Right.
they were like 15%. So
Right.
they're still good. But they've gone up. And so what that means in our market, and especially right now, as you know, we have a low inventory, super low inventory. So people come to me, they do all the right things. They come get pre-qualified. They come to you, they go shopping. They know where they want their monthly payment to be. And then a month and a half later, 2 months later, when they finally get an offer accepted, they find out that monthly payment has increased, and maybe it's not where they're comfortable being anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah, which for me, that's something that I take into consideration when someone hands me a pre-qualification loan. And I think we just did this recently. Someone handed me a pre-qual from 6 months ago, and I was like, cool, but let's go back and revamp that just to make sure that we are still in the same ballpark. Because,
Right.
and it's not that, honestly, I love to go show homes and I love to spend time with people, and I'll go do that all day long. However, I also want it to be worthwhile for the client, worthwhile for me as well, like the time spent. And I don't want to show them something that they ultimately cannot purchase or don't feel comfortable purchasing. Because, it's home ownership is one of the biggest, besides getting married and having children, I believe is one of the biggest things that we do in our lifetime. And it's important. So I want to make sure that everyone is incredibly comfortable with what they have going on. So,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
I agree 100% because the last thing you want to do is set somebody up right out the gate, especially if they're a first-time home buyer, getting them set up with disappointment, because then after that, it's like nothing feels great. You want that positive energy going into every transaction.
Absolutely. So, I think I also was talking to you. If someone wants to get qualified for a loan, is there some items I think I know these items, but I'm going to let you say, like, what are the things that a buyer needs to have in their possession when they present to their lender? Hey, I'd like to purchase this home. Is there, like, I know we have to have like W-2s and things like that. What else do they need to have?
That's also a very good question because that changes sometimes depending on what type of income you have or your personal situation. A good rule of thumb is have your driver's license. Make sure it's not expired. Obviously, you wouldn't believe sometimes I get an expired license and I have to tell them. So you have to have a
Gonna be
form of
the one.
ID. Yeah. So form of
Right.
ID, 30 days recent pay stubs. That's a good one. So if you're paid weekly, you need 4 pay stubs. If you're paid semi-monthly, you need 2 pay stubs. We're also going to need W-2s for the past 2 years. So right now it would be 2021 and 2020. And then your 60 days most recent asset account statements. And one thing I want to mention about that is that sometimes people will they'll give their checking account statements, right? And they may have enough money to close the transaction. Great, but there's always an advantage to have tools in our toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's better to let the mortgage professional decide what you need and don't need, because there are sometimes people who they make a lot of money, but maybe their credit's not so great. And so we need additional, what we call reserves, which is money that you're not using toward the transaction, but money that you have saved to strengthen the application to exhibit that the client has the ability to save money.
So if they have like 401ks or savings accounts or money market accounts, like,
Yes.
deliver everything.
Yes. And then let the lender decide what they want to take out, because I'm not going to use anything that we don't need to use, because less is more a lot of times. But the mortgage originator is going to be your first line of defense. They're going to be the one that is going to dictate what we need to make this transaction go smoothly. And so the more they know, the better they can put your file together for an underwriter. And so whenever I was coming up and I was a kid, my dad would always say, and that's my country coming out. So when I was growing up, when I was growing up, my dad would always say, you never lie to your doctor, your lawyer, or to a policeman. And I'm like, okay. And now I'm thinking, no, don't ever lie to your loan officer either, because we will find out. The underwriter will find out. So you might as well be upfront with me so I can figure this mess out for you. So that way we're not having any problems at the end.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's a great rule of thumb. I love it. So if somebody was interested, I mean, obviously I always have a list of local lenders, and you were on my list that I send out to my clients. But if someone's watching this and they're thinking of purchasing something in our area or in Florida in general, what is the best way that they can contact you?
I use my cell phone as my lifeline. And so I said, call me. I'm a people person. I love to talk to people. My cell phone number, should I go ahead and give that now, or are you going to post it?
Yeah, go ahead. And I'll put it into the show notes as well. But yeah, go ahead and put it out there. Throw out whatever you want.
Okay. I'm going to throw it all out there. So my social security number, no, I'm just kidding. My phone number is area code 850-628-7447. And that is my cell phone number. So I welcome text. Sometimes text is better if I'm tied up on a call. If somebody shoots me a text, I can usually text them right back. And then, of course, I've got email and my website. My website contains the mortgage application. A lot of times it's better for somebody to go ahead and just fill that out online, because prior to our first meeting, it gives me some data that I can use in order to ask them questions to kind of get the file prepped. And so I always encourage, if they have the ability, to go online and put as much information in the application as possible. So that way we kind of are ahead of the curve when we have our first phone meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the website?
It is www.lindseymaxwellmortgage.com.
Perfect. I'll put that in there too. So
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, last question before we wind this up. Thank you so much, because that was some really great info. I always ask this question because I just feel like, I always want to make sure that people understand that we're human beings. I'm a realtor. She's a loan originator. However, like we have people that have helped us, that have lifted us up. I mean, I stand on the shoulders of so many great people being in the position that I am. But is there anyone or a book or anything that has been inspiring to you that has helped you become the woman that you are today?
Oh, yeah, a lot. But there's one that comes to mind, especially professionally. And it was my mentor when I first got into the mortgage business. She just retired. She was in the business for 35 years. Her name is Jackie Fowler. And I was very discouraged when I first started doing mortgage loans, because it was kind of a bad time for it. It was a rising rate environment. I didn't have good relationships built at that point. I was new to the area. So all the factors. And I just remember that even my best friend went and got a loan somewhere else because they were like offering her something that they really couldn't provide. You know how it is. Like, it's a sales tactic.
Yeah.
And Jackie said, "Don't worry about that." And she was from New York, so she had this like New York accent, and she's like, "Don't worry about that." And I was like, but I just feel like I try to do the right thing. And then, the people go somewhere else. She says, "Just always do the right thing. You'll get more business. Just always do the right thing." And so in the beginning, it didn't pay off. But now, I think I've earned that level of trust that people know that I'm going to do the right thing. And I owe that all to Jackie, because I think in life we come to a crossroads, and we can either do the right thing or the easy thing. And a lot of people sometimes choose the easy thing. And she encouraged me to stick with the straight and narrow and do the right thing. And I owe her tremendously for that.
I love that. Go, Jackie. I love it.
Yeah.
That is so good. Well, you're amazing. I'm so glad that we know each other, that we have a working relationship. We've become friends and talk every now and then. So I'm grateful. I know you've helped so many of my clients, and girl, you've answered questions for me in the middle of like showing a house in the middle of the pouring down rain. Can they do a VA loan with an asbestos siding? I mean, and she's like answered me, and I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so very much.
Of course. Anytime. I'm always here for that. That's the thing, is we've got to help each other, not only as, professionals in the business, but as women, just sticking together and promoting each other. So anytime. Anytime.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it. So if you guys are out there looking to do any kind of financing, buying your first home, refinancing, anything like that, Lindsey's my girl. I hope you will reach out to her. Again, I'll drop all of her information in the show notes. And I just want to say thank you again for joining us today. And hope you all have a blessed Friday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.